Hi everyone, Adrienne here, and today I'm coming to you with a review of ABH's Norvina Volume 2 palette. This palette released on September 26th. It was the second palette of 3. I'm going to go ahead and open the Norvina Volume 2 up so you can see what it looks like. It is a blue base palette. I would say it's got more on the blue side. There's lots of other colors in it, but this is what the palette looks like. It is a 25 pan palette, and the names are not on them. It goes row A, B, C, D, E, and it goes across 1 through 5. So it's numbered, and this is an artistry palette. It's meant for makeup artists. This is what it was created for. And I'm going to sit it down and I will show you, go back in chronological order and show you the first of the ABH Norvina releases. And this is the Norvina Volume 1 palette, and it was released in August. And as you can see from the outer packaging, this is a purple base palette. I would say half purple base. It's a little deceiving. It's also got some reds and some blues and some mustard yellows and coral colors. So this is what the Norvina Volume 1 looks like. And just like the Norvina Volume 2, this palette is a 25 pan palette, and it's organized the same way alphabetically and numerically. And the ABH Norvina Volume 3 palette, as you can see from the outer packaging, is a warm orange tone palette. I'll go ahead and get that open for you. There are corals in here, there are warm tone browns, and there are lots of greens in here. So this is the Volume 3 palette. And the Volume 2, which we're going to be reviewing today, and this Volume 3, are said to be limited edition. Before I get into my review on the Volume 2 palette, I want to talk a little bit about the release of the palette. When these palettes were released, it wasn't really made clear to us whether this was an ABH release, because this was a whole new format different than ABH, and nobody really seemed to understand why these palettes were coming out so close together back to back. And it turned out that Norvina was starting a sister brand underneath the ABH company. I can honestly say that that sparked some confusion and mixed emotions in me right off the bat, just learning of that. I wish that we would have been told from the very beginning with the first of the release that Norvina was going to have her own individual stand in Sephora, and that this was not the Anastasia Beverly Hills brand, but this was a separate brand altogether. So coming out the gate, before we even start reviewing the actual palette, I have to say that I do have mixed feelings about it, and some of it doesn't sit well with me the way the release of this palette went. However, and I'm going to go ahead and open the palette up. I like to keep them open while I'm talking about them so I can point to them. I was excited to see the different turn of colors, adding color to the line, and pigment palettes. Although palettes this big are typically way overwhelming for me, and I usually prefer to have a smaller palette, not much over a 16 pan palette. This palette was the last one in the collection of 3 that I got, and I was really hem-hawed around as to if I would get this palette and what I could do with it. Honestly, when I saw the swatches on most other people of this palette, I wasn't interested in it at all and really didn't think that the swatches turned out that well. Back to the discussion about the palette. This was the last one that I decided to get in the series because of it being limited edition, and wondering with my viewers if I were to continue pulling this palette up over the course of the next few years, because these pan sizes are huge in this palette, and with 25 different shades, I think that this is going to be a palette that would probably go bad long before I used or hit pan on any of the shades, so that concerned me. I do like this palette once I got a hold of it, and I am happy that I got my hands on it, because this palette, the looks that I created turned out fairly easy, and I'm going to show you, besides the look that I'm wearing today, the first look that I created with this palette, and then I'll be right back. The first look with this palette came out flawlessly to work with. All the colors that I used when I created that look blended and they went on smooth. I don't set my primer, my eye primer, I leave a tacky base. So I just took my time and built the colors up and didn't try to blend them in when I put them on. And I had no problems with patchiness. I had no problems getting everything blended out. None of the colors in that look seemed to run together. It was effortless, it went fast, and the reason why I didn't record myself doing the look with the palette is like I said, this is not my comfort zone, a palette this big, and I wasn't sure with it being pure pigment palette how it was going to work for me, and I wanted the chance to enjoy working with it without feeling the pressure of recording. So I will just be talking about this palette, and as I'm showing you the different looks, this will be considered look number 3, the look that I'm wearing now, but the one that I just showed you will be look number 1, and then there's also going to be a look number 2. If there is a particular look that you want to see a tutorial on, please leave a comment with the number down in the comment section and I'll know to do a tutorial with it. I'm really not sure that anybody's going to want to see a tutorial of this palette this many months later, and like I said, since it's not my comfort zone, I don't want to spend my time making a tutorial that you, my subscribers or viewers, are not really interested in seeing, but I'm more than happy to do it if it's something that is requested. So if you do that, I will recreate all these looks for you. But the palette overall, I thought it looked so incohesive and crazy to the naked eye when I first saw it. But once I got it, and I ordered it off the Anastasia Beverly Hills website on Black Friday, and I think I paid $54 for it. It's normally a $60 palette, so I was so happy to not have to pay the full $60 for it, although $54 is a pretty high priced palette for me for what I typically buy. But I will say that I do think that the palette was worth it. It was effortless, and as I looked at this palette, it was the most shocking thing. As soon as I opened it, I saw look after look. All the 3 looks that you are going to see today in the video and what I'm wearing now came to me instantly. And I was so shocked that I was able to get and put these looks together. And so you know what I'm talking about. I will go ahead and show you the second look that I created with this palette. And that second look was done the same day that I did the first look. So now that you've seen the second look, like I said, everything came together and the quality of this palette turned out to be so good. One thing I will say though is the metallic, the shimmer shades, they don't turn out to be as metallic. They're more shimmery than metallic. This one here is a little more glittery than some of the rest of them in there, but they're not like that liquid metallic looking palette. That's the only thing that would have made it a little bit better for me. But other than that, I have to say that I am super shocked by this palette because it really, when I saw it, didn't look like something I would be able to work with or do anything with. And the swatches were so impressive. And I think I've learned the biggest lesson about swatches not being something you should really pay that much attention to, besides seeing what the colors might do on someone's skin tone, because this palette has, every look that I've created has turned out to be 10 times better than the swatches. So if I had it to do all over again, I would repurchase this palette, and I am happy to have it. The only bad feelings I have about it, like I said in the beginning of the video, is I did not like the way the release was handled. I think that they should have been upfront with us that Norvina was a secondary company. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth because ABH, Anastasia Beverly Hills, had been collabing with Alyssa Edwards, which put out that colorful palette right after the colorful Riviera palette. And then Jackie Aina came out with her palette. And these Norvina collection palettes started dropping like a week and a half or two after her palette, and I felt like she should have had the spotlight for a lot longer, and it wouldn't have been that big of a deal had they announced it as a total different sister company instead of letting us think for the first, what was it, 2 months, I'm not even sure how long, that it was Anastasia Beverly Hills. So it's kind of overshadowed a lot of my happiness with the palette. I feel like it was just released kind of deceptively, even though the quality of it is good. And I don't typically consider myself a collector. I don't have this palette just because I want to collect. I want to actually use it. I'm so excited to be adding so much more color into my makeup routine. So this was a good start to it. But if you're not already subscribed to my channel, you're going to want to do that so you don't miss me doing the other two palettes in the collection. I will be doing 3 looks with those and talking about what the palette was like to work with. And just like I said for this palette, I'm not going to do tutorials for those videos. I'll let you guys vote down in the comment section of the tutorials you want to see. But I hope this video helped you and that you enjoyed watching. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. You also want to hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button so YouTube notifies you every time I upload a new video. I'll see you guys soon.